welcome to Center of Weirdness, the weird podcast about very weird stuff, but mostly it's about weird TV shows, TV specials, made for TV movies, failed TV pilots, all things TV. And this might be the first time in a while that we have a very an accurately named podcast, because this is some weird shit. I am Josh, and with me, as always, is Skinner. Hey, Skinner. It's been a minute since we have recorded, since you've heard an episode from us. Sorry about that. You may actually hear an episode that we recorded a long time ago before you hear this one, where we're saying we've been gone a while. So, you know, it's weird. Things happened. I moved. It's been a whole thing. But, you know, we're back. I think we said a while back that this would probably be more infrequent, but and that has proven to be the case. But we had to come back upon this discovery of mine, and I'm so glad that we did. We're talking this week about the failed TV pilot Wishman from 1983. What the fuck is this thing?
I like that we assumed that it was called Wishman.
Yes.
But no, the show must be called Wishman because the titular character is called Wishman. Like, it's its last name.
It's Wishman, which is weird because, like, it's a TV show, so you can name the characters whatever the fuck you want them to be when you write it. There's no reason that it's called Wishman, because Wishman inputs a thing in your brain that you naturally think, oh, this is going to be about someone who grants wishes or is like a genie or something. Because the reason I think that, and the reason I'm not wrong, is because there is also a movie called Wishman from, I think, like 87 maybe, or 92. And it is about a it has Jeffrey Lewis, Paul Gleason, Brian James, a guy that we love. It's about a Hollywood hustler bargaining with a 2 million year old genie to meet the girl of his dreams. And apparently this genie is like living on the street or something. So like that title makes sense to me for a movie called Wishman. This title for this show makes no sense whatsoever.
And we're not saying there's not a fantastical character in the show. There absolutely is. But the fact that it's called this has nothing to do with wishes.
No.
The character is named after not the main bad guy, but this third, I would say.
A sort of secondary bad guy who sort of by the end doesn't seem like he's that bad.
Right. I mean, he's at least anti-murder of things that aren't the Wishman.
Yeah, sure.
But this is a show, a pilot, that, of course, never went anywhere for a bazillion reasons. But, like, I don't understand, like, the first time the dailies came in, and they saw what they had created, and it moving, and how it looked on film, why they all didn't say, like, just go, that's it. It didn't work. Pack it in.
Yeah, this is such a peculiar thing, and like, I have to. I guess first off, we should thank, in quotes, Eternal Family, this bizarro streaming service that I had never heard of until yesterday. Literally, this came together within the last 24 hours because I saw a random thing on Instagram for some other video that someone had shared a video from Eternal Family, someone that I follow, and I was like, oh, it was for like an 80s Japanese Dragon Quest live action little short film. And I was like, that's weird. So I went to the site, then I started scrolling through and I saw Wishman on there and I was like, what is that? And I did the, barest minimum of research, and I was like, oh, failed TV pilot? Absolutely, we have to cover that. Sent it to Skinner, and he was like, yep, 100%. And then we're recording it basically a day later because we were like, we have to just talk about this because it's so strange. So you can watch Wishman this whole pilot in full on eternal.tv. Search for Wishman. It's free. Normally there's a subscription for this service, but because this is not this, they couldn't track down the digital rights holders for this. So they just put it up for free. Most of their stuff is behind a paywall, but this is there because they believe in preserving weird lost media and hidden gems and whatnot. So basically, unless by the time this episode comes out, unless someone has come out of the woodwork and said, I own the rights to Wishman, you can watch it for free on the eternal.tv website. I highly encourage you to check it out because it's super strange.
I have a small feeling in the back of my head that like literally tomorrow morning I'll wake up and Eternal TV will have never existed. And there was never any reference or hint that Wishman was a real show.
Why, Eternal TV? I haven't heard that name in like 40 years.
Just basically that, because what a fucking fever dream this is. And you probably can look it up somewhat if you because there's many things called Wishman that usually deal with wishes. You can probably Google this as Wishman 1983.
It's on IMDb. There is a listing for it on IMDb as a TV movie.
Yes, and go to the IMDb page specifically because you will see the poster for the ABC for this, and you will instantly realize why we are reacting like this when you see the Wishman, which is among the worst designed things I have ever seen. He's horrible.
Yes, he is essentially as weird as it is to say this, he's a less bulbousy, like Mac and Me alien. Like he kind of has that same, he's got the same coloration. He's got the little protuberances coming off of his head. He's got big eyes, but they're not as like, he doesn't look as alien as the Mac and Me aliens, which makes sense because he's not an alien, even though this was in the wake of the supreme success of E.T. There were lots of different networks, I think, that were trying to cash in on E.T. being so popular. So they were doing things that had a weird, cute, in quotes, creature in them. And this was a pilot that was commissioned for an ABC show. And this is something that I wanted to talk about, and I'm glad you brought it up because we've talked about this a lot on past episodes of Center of Weirdness, of like some of these shows that we cover are not just random oddities that aired in syndication. So some of them are, but some of them were on major networks back when there were only 3 of them. And this was going to be on a major network. Whoever was running that at ABC at the time was like, yeah, we need to commission this and see what happens. Thankfully, they had they were in their right mind to say, this is not a show, but like they got very far in the process before they realized, no, we don't want to put this on TV.
My God, like beyond the terrible design of the Wishman, who like once again has Mac and Me type features, gigantic eyes. He's too big. But he essentially looks like a movie alien, but he's not an alien. So they didn't have to make him look like an alien.
No, that's the weirdest part, is that like I think it's basically like if you were going to do this as an alien, he would be green, but they're like, no, he's actually got some human DNA in him, so we have to make him flesh colored,
which is not a great thing, as Mac and Me proved.
No,
but like he's just gross. And I don't want to be mean to the Wishman, but every time he shows up on screen, I just went, fuck. And then the characters are acting like this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, it's impossible. It's impossible. There's no way you're reacting like this. And no, I don't want the Wishman to be dissected, because why would I want that? I'm not cruel. But like, there requires like a motor for this episode that has no structure. But the motor requires you to like really give a shit about the Wishman, and you just don't.
No.
And then there's scenes where he does things which make you like him less. In fact, he does a lot of things that are irritating or make you go, why the fuck is he in the bathroom with her?
You know, the actor who's doing the little weird
Well, it's not. It's not Frank Welker.
It's not Frank Welker. It's Mark Dodson. And a year later, he would go on to voice a bunch of different Mogwai in Gremlins.
That makes sense.
So he was doing his practice run here in Wishman.
And the kid in this movie, it was in Gremlins 2 as Yogurt Kid or something.
Oh, okay, cool. They worked together again. They were so happy to be reunited on that film.
So the cast of this show has one person who sticks way out.
It's funny because you got Mark Dodson, who a year later was in Gremlins, arguably a very big movie at the time. And then a year after this, also, I guess, sort of second lead, Linda Hamilton was in Terminator. So, like, you know, it's pretty wild because there's a bit on the IMDb trivia that basically says, like, years later, she said she was happy the show didn't get picked up because it probably would have prevented her from being in Terminator and making her a huge star.
I am glad that I now know there is one thing in the universe that Linda and Hamilton and I know for certain. I'm sure we agree on a lot of things, but one thing for certain, I know that her and I agree on one thing that we're complete and simpatico about, and that is that we are glad the Wishman was not picked up for a full run.
It's pretty wild. You have I wasn't super familiar with this guy. His name is familiar to me, but I didn't really know him. Joseph Bottoms, who was in oh wow. Well, we'll probably see him again because he was in 22 episodes of the Net TV series.
That has been on the list.
It has been on the list for a while, so I think we will have to get to that.
That might be on the original list, they're like the original 13, like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, we've always loved the idea of like the shitty 90s like tech shows because those are super
This
funny.
has some shitty 90s tech in a 1982 show.
Absolutely does. It's great. Yeah, I don't really know his career very well. Like he's been in a bunch of TV shows and TV movies, and
he's just got a TV head.
Yeah, I think he must have been, maybe he was like a Disney actor at some point. I don't know. But then you've got Linda Hamilton, of course, huge huge star. I mean, like a year later, you've got James Keach, the brother of Stacy Keach. Which is fun. Robin Gamble, who plays like the doctor who is kind of in charge of the he's in charge of the project where they are creating Wishman. He's been in some stuff. I recognize his face, but I don't really remember him. I think he was in I can't think of anything specific that like I would know him from or that anybody else would know him from, though he was in one episode of Mantis, so that's something. But yeah, most of his stuff was like bits here and there, a couple episodes of random TV shows. Worked with Linda Hamilton again on the Beauty and the Beast TV show. So, you know, dude's been around. He's in tons of things. He has a huge number of credits, but not a ton of like people that you would know other than Linda Hamilton. But yeah, like it's such a weird thing. So obviously, if they're doing this to try to catapult or capitalize on the success of E.T., you would think Alien. It's not an alien. It is a genetic experiment where they have taken.
Okay, I want you not only to say how they did it, but why they did it.
Well, okay, so yeah, they took a bunch of random DNA from random things. I guess it has some human DNA, but they also said later he says they rebuilt everything from scratch, which I don't know what that means.
You know, like partially from scratch, but
yeah.
when you buy cake mix, but then you make your own frosting.
Yeah, that's it. So they built this thing to essentially make like workers,
not war or anything. It's basically like the robots at Radio Shack, or like it's Tesla with the robot, which could be a Wishman inside that costume, because that is not a real robot.
That's right. They got a Wishman in there.
But like the whole scene of them making it, which is fucking hilarious, and then they get this final like hard plastic doll, and they like raise it up like it's Simba. It's so funny and so bad looking, and it's like, all right, I'm in for this. I wish there had been somehow more of the shitty tech.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just hanging out in a suburban house.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not an alien, which it should be, but basically they're doing bioengineering. They're working on this creature, and they eventually get one that can walk, and starts to kind of grow and develop. So it's basically a child. It's kind of, simple like a child is. It doesn't really understand a lot of things. Doesn't have a lot of
It never speaks.
yeah, it doesn't have a lot of fine motor skills.
I'm sure it's season. That's the season finale is its first word.
Oh, I'm sure,
which is family or friend.
Yeah, but it also can, for some reason, control electricity, which
it can control electricity when the plot wants it to.
Yeah, it seems very weird that that's a random thing that they put in there. It's kind of like that's just they were throwing darts at the wall. Like, we got to give it some sort of ability. So electricity seems good. Like,
so basically the shocker.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like, I wonder if this was going to be one of those situations where, like, as it developed and as they did more, it would just have new abilities as the plot dictated it.
Oh, I'm sure they could say like, oh, he's mutated a new ability.
He can fly now.
He can float. Fucking, if he flew at the end of this episode, I would have fucking lost it. But like, oh, he's now telepathic. Oh, yes. now he can talk to dogs. Like,
now he can turn into a dog for some reason.
Oh, now he can shapeshift into a normal looking kid and save us some money. So basically he's Small Wonder.
Yeah, we don't have to pay. We don't have to pay the little person actor who's inside this costume anymore.
Right. Just some kid. But yeah, like,
it probably actually, you know what? You're probably right. It probably is a child.
Inside.
It's a woman.
It's a woman.
She was a stunt double in Howard the Duck.
Oh, good. Lucky.
And was a stunt double as what played one of the penguins in Batman Returns.
I always forget the giant penguins aren't real penguins. I always think they're real penguins.
Also was an Ewok.
So working again with the voice actor.
Yeah, was in Willow. And was working all the way up to 2012 in a dog movie called Hercules Saves Christmas.
What? Wow, that's weird. That seems like something somebody should have covered.
Yeah, I feel like we missed out on that because this.
Well, I mean, we've seen so many Christmases saved though, and by dogs.
You've got this woman who is in this suit,
in a hoodie,
in a hoodie for most of it,
or in a dog food bag,
or in a bag of dog food, or wrapped in a blanket, like. They're doing everything they can to minimize the budget that they have to spend on the creature costume. So they have a mask that is sometimes animated, sometimes not, depending on the sort of
if the hood is up, it's just a Halloween mask.
Yeah, occasionally you'll see the eyes blink, but it's not very.
The eyes. Can we go in on the eyes? The eyes are very large.
Yeah,
and they're very shiny. Like as I said, go to the IMDb page. You'll see a head-on shot of the Wishman.
Yeah. And
the eyes are really what unsells it, I think. I mean, like, the hands are gross.
Yes.
The feet are gross. It's gross.
Yeah.
It looks kind of wet.
It's not an attractive creature.
It's not toyetic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? You know what? You're right. I feel like there had to be that thought of, we're gonna make toys out of this creature in some way, like,
yeah, like it comes with like a dinky Hot Wheel thing, and then like you press a button on it and it makes it honk. That's mostly what his power does, make the car honk.
Again, this is totally off topic, but underneath on the Wishman page on IMDb, if you scroll down slightly, it says more like this. And there's a Linda Hamilton movie called Secret Weapons, and the poster is just her pulling her breasts out.
Interesting. This is a episode of a TV show where they almost show her nude.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just me being distracted by this artful drawing of a seductive Linda Hamilton. But yeah, so basically they have created this creature to serve as some sort of basis for a workforce, which
like a small wonder.
Which now that I'm kind of thinking about it, is this that bad of an idea? Like, I don't know. I mean,
it's not great. It is a sentient being.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess it's better if it's a robot. You know, it's less likely that that's going to develop feelings.
Right, but we hear a lot about rushing it to market first. So we're to be believed in 1982.
There's other corporations doing this genetic work.
There's other Wishmen or whatever their head scientists are there, like Stevesonman or Rothschildsman.
There's a Jobsman.
A Jobsman. It's really a Wasman, but Jobs.
Yes. Yeah. There's a Gatesman. There's a Muskman.
Because we have an elusive man from Mass Effect terminology where there's this evil businessman who he's so evil, you'd think he'd be selling these as weapons.
Yeah, it's weird. They never really get into that. It's more just like, I want people to be able to use these as...
and he wants to be first to market.
Yeah.
He's willing to kill people to make sure the competition doesn't get a Wishman first.
Yeah,
he's willing to kill people to get a essentially flesh version of the robot from Radio Shack to market first.
This guy is just listed in the credits as Sam. Like, that's his character name, which doesn't sound very menacing or evil, but he's always like mostly shown in shadow, mostly shown driving around in like a limousine with his wife. Being very menacing on the phone and everything. Like,
she wants to put up some evil flag, and he's like, "I can't stop you."
Timestamp this one.
I mean, you could pick any month at that point.
That's
honestly,
true.
The story keeps dragging out.
That is true. This is the newest information that you've heard about that story. Whatever the newest one is, right before we released it.
Whatever flag it is today, that's what we're talking about. Don't worry about it. Like, he's so comically evil in an show where like no one else has really that much personality.
Yeah.
That it's like, wow. And he has access to AI better than we have now.
Yeah. So okay, so they've made this thing. It is a child. It is having trouble following along with very specific instructions. Put the logs in the truck. They keep telling this thing that he's playing with these little toys, these little Tonka toys, and Lincoln logs and things like that. It keeps telling it to do it. It's just ignoring it, or it's doing whatever it wants. It is not interested in really following instructions. And they're like, well, this is a failure. It's not working. It's not following our instructions. We're going to just cut it open because this is our best attempt to date, but it still sucks. So we're going to destroy it. And this leads our main character, Alex, who is working on this project, to feel a little upset because he's like, it's a living thing. We don't want to destroy this. Like, what are we doing? And then he goes outside to kind of get some air, and he sees, this is the funniest way that he decides to do what he does, but he sees like the lawn crew who were cutting the grass at this big ominous headquarters that they work at. He sees this guy playing with his son, like throwing like they're just kind of like, what, he's like slinging a jacket at him or something. I don't remember exactly what he's doing, but it's just a weird moment where he gets like this notion of like, oh, he's like a son to me. I'm going to rescue him. And
he should have been, I think it's 1983. He should have been smoking. And in fact, no one smokes.
Oh, I went back to
Oh,
it. The guy
okay.
is swinging a garbage bag at his kids.
That would make me
full of lawn
realize
clippings.
the love of children.
And so he sneaks back in and he distracts someone who's working with Wishman, sends her away. He covers the camera with his lab coat and he sneaks Wishman out in a bag, in a dog food bag.
It's so funny. He knocks him out with some gas first.
Yes.
To like, so we feel better about him slugging him around. But when he's putting him in the bag, the giant fucking doll they're using is literally bent backwards, like Homer Simpson being punched over the fire hydrant. It's the funniest. It is the most entertaining part of the entire movie.
It is just a figure filled with straw. There's no structural integrity.
There's two things funny in this episode. This is one of them. Second, I want to point out he's being put in a gigantic bag of dog food.
Yeah,
that we do not see any dogs. This is a genetic place. There may be some, but all we see are rabbits.
Yeah, I feel like I said while we were watching it, I feel like they meant to have dogs there was dogs in the script, but then when they got to shooting it, they were like, this is way too much logistical issues to try to coordinate.
It would have made the next funny scene funnier, make more sense.
Yes, but like, so they have rabbits instead, which he opens the cages to the rabbits and he's like, okay, go. And they all just sit there, and later they're all just scattered around the hallway. But it's like,
that is the funniest fucking thing in the episode is they walk in the hallway and there's just like 7 rabbits standing there, and they're like, whoa. And like, are they? If it was a bunch of dogs running around,
yes,
it'd be an interesting confusion. But it's just 7 rabbits standing still.
Yeah,
and like, you know what's like, they're just rabbits.
Yeah. So he sneaks out, and I only want to talk about this sequence because of a very specific thing. So he is stopped at the gate, and he is he's talking to the guy, and the guy notices the dog food bag in the trunk, and he's like, "Oh, dog food, eh?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got a big dog, eats me out of house and home." And the gate guard doesn't seem to care one way or the other because he's, this guy's stealing company property regardless. I mean, even if he's taking dog food home, that still feels like you're, taking from the company. But anyway, who cares? The only reason I bring this,
it's like taking 700 pens.
That's right. You're taking an entire sleeve full of Post-it notes. The only reason I bring this up though is because on IMDb, the gate guard is listed. His name is Semen Glass.
No, he's not.
Which is a medical condition that if you have, you need to go to the doctor immediately.
Oh, that's some sharp.
That's a harrowing thought. I saw that name and I was like, I tensed up the same way I tensed up when I saw Wishman for the first time.
For the first 17 times for
me. So Linda Hamilton is her character is named Maddie. She is a photography assistant. I don't really know what her role is. We cut to we cut to like a bikini photo shoot happening in the mezzanine of like a mall or something, and there's like birds around, and I couldn't tell if she was the photographer or if she
seemed to be the boss by the end.
Yeah, she was the boss, but I don't know what her role is or what they were doing. Like maybe it's a catalog shoot and she's in charge of the catalog.
I don't think they gave a lot of thought to Linda Hamilton's character in this show other than she's supportive.
Yeah, because it's very... I was totally unsure what her job was, because like it seems like at the end it's like, oh, I have nothing to do. I have no job whatsoever, and I'm just going to go along for the ride. And it's weird because even the description of the show gets it wrong, because on IMDb it says, and I've seen this in a couple other places, so this must just be the thing that gets copied around, but Wishman is a genetic experiment condemned to spend its life in the lab. 2 employees decide it deserves freedom, so they escape with it. So I'm wondering if maybe if this had gone to series, they would have rewrote it so that she also worked for the lab. I don't know, but she's definitely not an employee of the lab because she doesn't know anything about this when he tells her about it. So
yeah, she's like completely she's cool with it pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, so like he tells her he picks her up from this place. They go out, and he's like, they have this bizarre kiss where he like envelops her face. Which
They have
is,
a lot of big sloppy kisses.
Yeah,
which I'm sure he bragged to like.
I'm
Mr. Bottom was telling everybody after Terminator.
sure. Yes, I'm sure when that movie came out, he was like, "Hey, she's, you see her naked in that movie. Well, I kissed her." So, but like, they're driving along, and he's like, "Hey, I was having a very stressful day at work. I quit my job." And she's like, "Well, that's great because obviously it was giving you lots of problems, and it's probably good that you are not there anymore." And she seems fine with it. But then he tells her about the project. He's like, "Hey, we were trying to make this industrial worker who would like just do whatever we told it to do," which is a real weird, bizarre sort of ethical dilemma. But no one seems to be thinking about that until later. And that it would have this human genetic material in it, and it's this whole thing. And then Wishman comes out of the back seat, and she, of course, screams, as anyone would do, everyone watching this show would have done during the opening credits. And then his electrical power goes off, and it starts like freaking out, and the car starts shaking and shimmying around, and eventually shuts down. And it basically tells, he's like, "Hey, this is the experiment. This is, what I've been working on." And they end up going to a hotel, and she has like the right response, which is like, "Why did you do this? You shouldn't have taken this. This is not your right to do this. This is for the company that you worked for," which technically, yes, it is their property, but it has feelings, and we get into all that sort of ethical stuff later. But like, she's not really feeling it at first, which is understandable.
And she says what's most important is that she basically says like, "You've ruined our lives and you didn't ask for my feedback first." And he blows her off so hard.
Yeah.
Like he's like, "Yeah, look at him." And she's like, "You didn't
I don't want to.
I don't want to either. No one would." But she's like, "We're now fugitives."
Yeah.
Like everything's changed and you did it unilaterally without even asking me.
Yeah.
And they're married.
Decided that. Oh, yeah, that's right. They are married. I'd forgotten to mention that. But yeah, she's like, "You basically made this decision for us because you did this. And so they're going to be after you, which means they're going to come after me. So like, I am in the same like boat with you, and you decided that without any sort of thought put into it whatsoever." And he's like, "Well, I didn't want him to be killed."
And he's almost laughing at her, it seems like, at that point. Like,
and
which is funny because later he has a breakdown out of nowhere about it.
Well, she's about to leave, and she's about to walk out of the show, and she turns and sees Wishman looking at himself in a mirror. And this is the first time he's ever seen his reflection. And she's like, "Oh, he's just like a baby." And then she gives him her keys to play with.
He also purrs sometimes. By the way.
Oh, yes. He purrs like a cat on and off. And she decides that this is enough for her to stay because Wishman is a child and needs to be protected. So I think Wishman has already developed his psychic abilities to change people's brains to make them stay around him.
Yeah, because everybody kind of does.
Yeah, they all seem perfectly okay with it after a moment. And we have one appropriate freak out, but he gets over it too quickly.
And he also goes into an absolutely bonkers monologue afterwards.
Yeah. So the corporation has sent in the security guy, Galen Reed, played by James Keach. And he's like this sort of kind of robotic man who's like looking for them, trying to find them. He's going through all their bank records, going through all these different accounts to try to see if he can track down where they are. And we have quite a few scenes, more than we need, of him talking to his computer, telling it to do things while he also types those things in. It's this dumb thing that TV shows and movies do, especially in the era where computers were still kind of a novelty and unknown to most people. But it's very funny to
I
see
believe
him.
he's using an Apple II, but it basically has AI, which we're told later the businessman gave him like secret technology that no one else has, which is why he can just keep yelling at the computer until it hacks something.
Yeah, it's very funny because he's like, access their business accounts, and the computer's like, cannot access business accounts. He's like, do it. The computer's like, okay, and then it does it.
And then later he's playing a Tiger handheld like really intensely.
What game do you think he was playing?
It had to be some Space Invaders knockoff in 1982.
Did they not have? Were they not doing like the football games yet?
They might be. Those are usually longer though for the field.
Oh, that's true. They're like more widescreen.
It's like all of a sudden they were trying to add this weird like quirk to him.
Yeah.
Not that he wasn't already quirky, but it's like where's this from? He looked like one of those adults from like an early Game Boy commercial, like where they're way too into Tetris.
Yeah, I was wondering when they were going to like. I wondered if later in the series we were going to find out that they were like that he was like a robot or something, like as a contrast to this person who looks human but is a robot, and this creature that isn't human but has more humanity kind of thing.
You know how they would in the 80s they would actually really hint hard about that. I'm not sure 82 is maybe a little the wrong time exactly for it. They would have him pick up a Rubik's Cube and solve it in seconds.
Oh, that would have happened, I'm sure.
Or that also is just a thing to do in that Will Smith Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes, exactly. It proves you're a genius and you deserve to work at a big business company. So
no one remembers that movie, do they?
I don't know. I mean, he was good in it, but
his big robot, he brought everything. They should have given it a personality.
Man, what if the Pursuit of Happiness hadn't been him and his kid, but him and the iRobot from iRobot?
That'd been pretty good. I mean, there's not Will Smith has worked with robots.
That's true.
I am suggesting that Will Smith should work more with robots.
Yeah, there you go. So they end up going to Maddie's friend's place to her name is Karen, to hide out.
Josh, what if his robot friend had a printing function and he called it, "Hey, you're the fresh print."
Oh my God. I'm glad we went back to that.
Aren't you?
And one thing that robot is programmed to never do is have his wife's name in its mouth.
His mouth is luckily just a bunch of green bar scale.
This is happening right around the time of the new Bad Boys movie, so we're being very topical right now.
I can be even more topical and say the robot could be voiced by Tony Danza. The robot is named T.O.N.Y.
Total automaton neutron. Yes. It's got a neutron core. So they go to Maddie's friend's place to hide out a little bit, and they hide Wishman back in the dog food bag, leave him in the car. But they have a kid, little Bruce, who's playing around on his skateboard, and this intrigues Wishman, who gets out of the car and interacts with this little boy, and it's we knew it was going to happen because we were like, of course. And Wishman is enchanted by some tangerines on a tree because he's never seen them before. Basically, Wishman has not seen a lot of things. So at a certain point, it feels like Wishman should just be staggered by the sensations that are happening to him.
Like he's passed a million trees, but he decides that the tangerine tree is his first tree.
Yeah, this is the one. Even though we've been driving around, we've been out in it's
his first dog food bag. It's his first back seat of a car. It's his first toilet paper. It's his first tissue.
Oh yeah, that's right. He is very much like a cat in that he unrolls the toilet paper onto his head, and everyone laughs and thinks that it's funny.
Or grabs a tissue, then watches a naked woman.
Well, we'll get there. So they're hanging out. They This guy Reed is constantly, a couple steps behind them, trying to find them. We have a funny little scene in quotes where the postman shows up to drop off some mail and packages at Karen's, and they hide Wishman in the thing and tell him to stay quiet, even though it's just like, why? Just go in the other room and hang out. Like, the postman's not going to come in your house and look around. But like he starts creating all kinds of ruckus with his electrical powers. He's making the dishwasher go off and the blender go off, and then he starts making the doorbell ring a lot. And the postman has a funny little joke about how's the little monster doing, and of course he's talking about the little boy Bruce. And they get mad at Wishman for this, but Bruce is like, he's just having fun. It's fine. So
this wonderful little shit boy.
Yeah. So that night they're having dinner. This is when Nat shows up. He is an attorney, and they introduce him to Wishman. He sees Wishman at first and kind of freaks out and starts to kind of lose his mind. And he has a pretty good legitimate reaction to seeing this weird creep, this weird creature. And then they start kind of going into all this discussion about, like, can you have a patent on genetic material? We intercut this with Bruce teaching Wishman how to skateboard, which we thought was going to play out in the finale, and it does not, which I think it was just out of their budget to do.
I think he's so immobile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he barely moves. At one point when they're getting chased through a factory, like Maddie and Alex just pick him up and carry him around.
When he jumps in their bed later, he can get up, but then he's face planted like there's like a beached whale.
Oh, while they're having dinner too, he's Wishman's chowing down on some nutrient paste.
Where did that come from? When
I don't
did he
know.
Grab it?
I guess he must have stocked up on some things, but like, what does that contain? What's in there? What are the macros of that nutrient paste?
I'm just keto friendly.
A lot of protein, high fats, low carbs. Under that hoodie, Wishman's jacked.
That'd be the best reveal.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like, he's shredded like lettuce.
Yeah. When Galen Reed finally catches up with him, Wishman unzips his hoodie and he is just jacked to hell and glistening. And he bench presses this guy.
And Joey Bottoms is like, fucking, oh, you didn't realize we set his gains to sick when we were making him.
That's right. Well, he's got to be super strong to do all this work in factories that they want him to do. So he's got to be super jacked and
like what do they expect him to do in the factories? Like he can.
Well, he works at that like that gay steel mill from The Simpsons.
Oh, he works hard. He also plays hard.
That's right.
With Tonka trucks.
So he basically tells them that, like, we have to essentially get Wishman considered as more than a product in order for him to get rights and for you to be able to adopt him and take care of him. So then we get to the scene that encouraged me to make us do this, which is Maddie is taking a shower, and we get a couple times throughout the episode, we get Wishman POV, which there are a few times which basically looks like you're watching the opening from Halloween, when you see Michael Myers as a kid and his POV as he stalks through the house and murders his babysitter, or his sister. It's very strange to see this little kid POV as he walks into the bathroom and, as you alluded to, Skinner, grabs a Kleenex out of the tissue box. And I was like, oh, he's about to jerk it. And sure enough, he turns and you see Linda Hamilton's silhouette in the shower. And
He's going, oh.
yes, and this is when we get the most vocalization out of Wishman. Most of the time he's been like, and this one he's like, ooh, ah. You're just like, holy fuck.
It doesn't end there, unfortunately.
No, but she comes out and she like notices him there, grabs a towel, and she's like, oh, Wishman. Like she seems utterly charmed by his perviness.
Because he's just a child. And then like,
but still, even as a child, you'd be like, all right, honey, can you give me some privacy while I finish up here?
Like, are you the dog? Because the next scene, they're having a long chat in bed.
Yeah.
And after she's like, well, he was in the shower with me. He's like, well, because he wanted to see me. And he's like, must take after me.
Yes.
And then
he's got some of my genetic material after all. And I want to peep on you. So that must be wired into his DNA.
That's episode 7 at the latest.
That's right.
We find out that he's actually genetically his son.
Oh my God. You know that was going to happen. Like, yeah, we did give some of our DNA to him, and that's why I bet he uses that in the court case to get them to declare him like
fucking the court case.
A child. His child. Like, yeah, we all jerked off into the same vat, and we did it. It was like a big circle jerk. And
also, we put Hitler's DNA in there. It's weird.
It was our science version of an ookie cookie.
Yeah, it's either going to be a worker or it's going to be Red Skull. But like, so they're in bed and they're talking about whatever sexily, and
they're talking about getting it worked out so they can basically adopt Wishman and he can live in their guest room.
Right, and then she's like, maybe we want children someday. And then they start making out hard.
Yeah.
And he starts to get on top of her. And then Wishman's in there again. Whoa. Yeah. And then she says, I was just like that with my parents. And he says, me too. So
yeah, always cock blocking.
Or like watching our parents have sex.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what they meant was, I wanted to sleep in my parents' bed.
Yes.
But the timing is, I watched my parents make out, and
it would be one thing if they had gone to sleep and he was like, and they woke up and he's standing there and they're like, he got scared.
A thunderstorm, even though he's electric himself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like they could have made it less creepy and making it more childlike if they had.
And he had just walked in on her in the shower. With Kleenex.
It's just these scenes bookended with these scenes back to back just make it extra creepy, and
it's also like. It's clearly not clear. The Wishman's too big. The Wishman is larger than a small child.
Sure, yeah. It's a little person in a suit, and it's got a weird. It just doesn't have the like.
There's nothing charming about it.
Yeah, it's.
Because of that, because it doesn't even seem childlike because its head is so large.
Yeah,
it looks like a really small teen in that hoodie.
Yeah, it's never seen its own reflection. It's never seen a tree, but it sure knows how to interrupt sex.
Yes, and like it has 2 penises on its head. Like its antennas look like 2 small penises.
Wishman wanted them to continue because it needs to learn things. I'm surprised they didn't go that direction. Well, he's got to learn sometime.
His mouth is this black void.
So, the next day, Nat wants all this information about the lab and all the processes and all the things that were going on. And Sam or Alex, sorry, for whatever reason, is conflicted by this. Like, I don't know
out of nowhere.
Why.
He was the least conflicted of everybody.
Yeah, he like suddenly is like, oh, why did I do this? Maybe I should give him back. I don't know why I'm doing this, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And it's like, and then he starts freaking out on on Nat. He's like, I know you're a good lawyer. You got a briefcase and a 3-piece suit. I was like, well, anybody can buy those.
I mean, it's worked for Rogan would be like, yeah, this guy's a fucking expert.
I mean, look at all the guys that the menswear dude Derek Guy roasts on a regular basis. They got 3-piece suits and briefcases.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean anything. But like then Alex, and he's upset, but he hugs Wishman and he starts crying. And Nat realizes, oh, he has feelings. And then this makes him reflect. We didn't really talk about it, but basically Bruce has been pissed off because Nat hasn't been around to help him with his skateboarding, and he's always working, and this has bummed Bruce out. And this show of emotion between Alex and this weird genetic abnormality it triggers something in him, and he realizes, you know what? I'm not going to work today. I'm going to go spend some time with my son. And so he goes outside and talks to him about skateboarding.
I like how the mom's has at least 4 different scenes where she's at the window watching the boy and the monster.
Yes.
And going like, look at them.
Yes.
Like that's her entire role. But like,
yeah, she
because this episode has no structure whatsoever and no momentum and no driving engine, she just is constantly doing it.
Yeah, like I know that like TV pilots and things like that, they can be a little weird because they're trying to sort of give you a sense of what this would be. And they do it, but it's still just so strange because it's like
you figure out what the format of the show would be. Spoiler: it's basically the Incredible Hulk TV show,
or Highway to Heaven, right? We got to do that at some point. But yeah, like so they through some various means, Reed figures out where they are. He knows what house they're in, so.
He hijacks their TV.
Yeah, they get a phone call telling them to turn on the television. They do, and it's him on the TV along with the doctors, basically saying like, "Return Wishman, and no one will get hurt, and this will be fine." There is one shot during this scene of this shot of Wishman looking very scared, and it's like they've done like film noir lighting, so you're just really seeing his eyes, and it is horrifying shot. It's so straight. He's got like Morticia Adams lighting on his face, and it's so bizarre. But so this is around the time that Dr. Harold Wish, who's been trying to get him back, seems to kind of turn on Reed a little bit because Reed has like loaded up all these tranq guns and stuff, and he's worried about it potentially hurting Wishman, even though he wanted to cut him up earlier in the episode.
I think he's more concerned that Alan will be killed.
Alex.
Yeah,
whatever. It doesn't matter. Joey Bottoms.
Joey Bottoms, but also he because earlier in a scene with some unsensitive language, he was concerned that the headhunt was becoming a witch hunt for his people.
Sure, you're right, because Reed does like he's looking at all of Alex's associates, people he worked with, because he thinks there might be like a mole within the company or an associate. So this is like, Reed doesn't want, or Harold Wish, Dr. Wish doesn't want it to go down the wrong path. He just wants to get Wishman back and do his job. So they decide to release Wishman to them, and we see in silhouette this man and woman and a child in a hoodie come out, and immediately you know that it's the little boy. It's not Wishman, and they get close to them, and then this is when Bruce goes rah, 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 does his best Wishman impression, and it turns out that Alex, Maddie, and Wishman are in their car, and they race away as they're being chased. And of course, during this stressful moment, Wishman's electrical powers kick in and basically shut the car down in front of this warehouse, which, like you said, Wishman's powers seem to only work occasionally or whenever the plot demands it. He is triggered by his parents fighting. Yes, whenever there's like stressful situations or arguments, Wishman's powers kick in. I wish when they were in the hotel, he had used. No one in this episode wishes a fucking thing. No, I know. I wish that when he was in the hotel, he had used his electrical powers to start the vibrating fingers bed. That'd have been pretty awesome. That'd have been great. But they put money in it and then it runs out and then he uses his powers to kick it back on again. Like that's how you use those powers. But they're able to use his powers to open this bay door to the warehouse, and they rush inside, And Wishman does the best thing with his powers here, which is that he activates a forklift, which then sends some boxes crashing down on Galen Reed and all the men. And then Alex gets the idea to turn on all these various transformers in the building and hook them up to Wishman, who, when the bad guys approach him, he just starts blowing up the transformers and sending sparks everywhere. Like, I didn't really understand what this, like, I didn't understand this plan.
They were just afraid of the spark. It looked like a Power Rangers fight.
Yes, it's just like sparks flying everywhere, and they run away. And of course, when they went into this building, it set off the alarm, so the cops have shown up, and they essentially detain Reed and all of his men while Alex, Maddie, and Wishman escape. Reed gets chastised by Sam, the rich billionaire guy who runs this company, and basically he says, "Give me 72 more hours and I'll get this done." So I wonder if every episode was going to end with him just asking for more time.
It has to, or like they get a sec, like they keep finding new, more evil, more powerful thugs to go after them. I mean, that has to be the structure of the show. They go from a town, they start to meet somebody, a kid falls in friendship with the
or
monster.
Love. Maybe Wishman meets a girl or
Wishman
a boy.
could fall in love with a refrigerator. It's fine, but
that's funny.
But they would, and then the guy shows up and they have to leave, and they should change their names a lot.
Yeah,
but he should always be called the Wishman.
So the end.
Why is he called Wishman?
I mean, it is that he is Dr. Wish's creation. But that means that what that means is that Dr. Wish contributed the most jizz to the vat.
And in that case, very poor reasoning, right? Or disgusting.
Yes.
But he should still be called Wishman.
Yes.
He is not called Wishman. He is called
Wishman.
Wishman.
Yes.
They always refer to him as Wishman.
So
the show is called Wishman.
The last scene is essentially where you get the understanding of what the show would be for the run, which, as you already alluded to, Incredible Hulk, Highway to Heaven, any of those shows, 18 Wheels of Justice, any of the shows where Renegade, any of the shows where a character is traveling from town to town, trying to stay ahead of some bad guy or some person who means to do them harm in some way.
They would find a new job every week. They set that up.
Yeah. So basically they are looking through the want ads at the classifieds for jobs, and they're kind of getting frustrated because they don't really have any skills. Like, she has very specific skills that she went to school for, and he is like a genetic scientist, which is going to make it a little more difficult to find just a random odd job. But they're like, he's like, we'll learn on the job, and it's like,
thanks 80s.
what a amazing time it was, where you could just look in the newspaper and find some work that might actually pay you decently,
and then they buy a house.
And Wishman gets mad at them and starts using his electrical powers to turn the car on and off and honk the horn. And they're like, "Okay, Wishman, we get it. Sorry." And he's like, "Rah, rah, rah," and points at them like, "If you do that again, you're gonna die." and they drive off into the sunset. I guess, like. He does say, he gets off the phone with someone and he's like, they're going to hook us up in Seattle, but until then we're on our own. So I guess they're going to make their way up to Seattle and have odd jobs along the way and try to stay ahead of Reed and his cronies and the corporation. And that was going to be the show, I guess.
What's funny is that this is within what a hour-long dramedy type thing would be back then, where it's not funny, it's not thrilling, it's not I guess it's supposed to be heartwarming, but
so you have the Incredible Hulk, which I think was, what was that, 84? I don't remember when that show started. That might have even been later than that, but that at least is built off the back of a fairly successful comic book at the time. Oh, actually, this was much earlier, 78.
70.
So
yeah,
so
the year I was born.
It was
Me and the Hulk.
That's right. it was done before this show started. So that template was very well established at that point.
And plus, it was this is built off the back of the movie Et, as they would call it.
Yeah, Wishman and Et. But yes, you're right. So it does say that on IMDb that they wanted, like we already talked about it, they wanted an ET type show. And they dropped the idea once they saw the footage.
They should have saw like the first day, or like, all right, come on out in the Wishman outfit, and we're done here.
Holy shit!
All going home
Unintentionally, totally unintentionally. We are not that far away from the 41st anniversary of the one time this aired on television, June 23rd. 1983 when we were recording this. So
I would suggest
putting this out on June 23rd.
Yes,
I'll put it out on the I'll just say we'll put it out on the 24th. So if you're listening to this when it drops, the day it drops, yesterday was the 41st anniversary of Wishman airing on ABC.
I would like to contact the Guinness Book of World Records for the least remembered anniversary of anything in history.
Not even the 40th, but the 41st anniversary of Wishman's single airing.
Yep.
It does say that Linda Hamilton wore a body stocking during the scene where Wishman watches her getting out of the shower, and she wasn't actually nude.
Thank God. They give, like, all she is, they just give her, and she wasn't a big star yet, and she wasn't even in Terminator 1, she wasn't who she was, who she's famous for from T2, Judgment Day, and T2 3D,
and Dark Fate.
But she's just smiley, and she has this very
she's super charming. Like
has 10 times the star power of anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Just standing there. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. And that's always fun when we come back to these shows. We see like future megastars early, and you're like 9 out of 10 times you're like, well, they fucking just fly off the screen. And they gave her nothing, and she's still glowing compared to everybody else. They gave her nothing.
She is in a great movie in 1982 called Tag: The Assassination Game, which is directed by Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers at some point. So there's our weird...
The Assassin Game. That spells tag.
That's right. Also stars Michael Winslow. Man, I need to see this movie.
Does it star Eddie Winslow?
No, unfortunately. I do not see him. I think he was maybe not born yet.
That's a shame.
No, he was probably born. He just wasn't probably acting. It does also feature Kristen DeBell, who was in A Talking Cat.
Saved by DeBell.
But yeah, so you're right. She is, she's definitely like the best person in this show, like in terms of just star power and charisma and just like, looks. And then I think right after her is Wishman.
Yeah, you'll never forget the Wishman.
No, you definitely won't. Like I said early up on the episode, like it's for free on eternal.tv. Search for Wishman.
You're just making shit up.
Yeah, you're gonna go tomorrow and it's gonna be gone. But you should absolutely watch this thing. It's not good, and it's not even like there's fun scenes in it where you're like
the rabbits in the hallway and the thing in the dog bag.
Yes, the dog bag is very funny, and when those guys get crushed by those empty boxes from the forklift is pretty good because you're like, finally you're using your powers for something legitimate. And the scene where she gets out of the shower and he stares at her is so bizarre and gross, and it's like you gotta kind of see it for that reason alone. I mean, I could never.
They knew what they were doing, because otherwise you wouldn't have it.
Yes, exactly. It's clearly there for a very specific kind of person who wants to see this stuff. So they're getting what they want for sure. I can't say that this is good, but I'm glad that I watched it.
I'm glad that we're the only people We don't know that Gina didn't watch this.
Good point. We probably should check with our friend Gina Radcliffe to see if she's ever heard of this. I think some other people have probably covered it. If you search, Wishman on YouTube, I was looking around for it there before I found it on Eternal, and there were some other videos about it. So I think some people have watched it at some point.
Well, I posted the poster up on the threads, and if any of our people who are deep channel surfers, our mutuals, will see it, and I think they'll have to react to it if they saw it.
Yeah, I am. I'm excited to get this out there again and get back to podcasting. I'm glad this is the thing that we decided to come back from a very long hiatus over.
This is very us. And everyone, go show your kids this.
Yeah. Share it with your children. But before we go, though, we haven't done this in a while, but we have to rate this thing on our scale of weirdness, which essentially is not anything definitive. It's just kind of what our rating of the episode is. And I will go first this time. This is I'm kind of thinking 10 out of 10 because it's so fucking strange, but there could be something higher, and I kind of want to save the 10 out of 10 for something that is just mind-blowing and also that I have more fun with. So I think I'm going to go 8 out of 10 for this.
I'm going to go 8 out of 10 as well. It has everything except the show.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
if there were some action sequences, or there like this thing skateboards to get away from the bad guys, or like
and that's the major problem. Like, I'm sorry. The major problem with Wishman is the Wishman. It's like there's no getting, like, the show was dead the second it was created.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But number two is they didn't think of anything fun to do with this concept when they had not even wasted a single idea yet.
Yeah, they
had all the possibilities they could ever have because they haven't done a single episode yet, so they haven't exhausted any thought yet, and they already had no ideas.
Yeah, basically, it's definitely like if you were told that you had this weird ass concept and you have to like do something with it, I think that you could come up with something a little more fun, but I feel like they were going for
heartwarming, and it isn't.
Yes, they're going less for action and more for like drama and like touching.
Dr. Wishman medicine monster.
They were going, instead of the Incredible Hulk route, which is action, and drama, they were going for the Highway to Heaven route, which was more drama and like heartwarming and emotional. But you have this weird creature at the center of your show.
This weird, instead of being an angel sent by God, we have instead as the creation as an affront to God.
Yes, we have the devil's child on screen.
The thing that like mankind should not have messed with is what the central character of this is. Things that we to this day still have not pulled the trigger on making.
To quote another character from a film about genetic manipulation, Jurassic Park, they spent so much time thinking about if they could, they didn't think about whether or not they should.
They should not have.
But that is going to do it for this episode on Wishman. Definitely one of the strangest things that we've ever watched for this program. So happy to be back again. Probably going to still be sporadic in our release schedule, but we did just put out a long ago recorded episode on the great weird show Tequila and Bonetti. Super bizarre, crazy show there. So go back in the feed and listen to that if you haven't already. And hopefully we'll have a few more things in the feed dropping a little bit more frequently during the summer. Hopefully a little less gaps between these recordings going forward, now that I'm moved and fully kind of set up and established and all of that. So hopefully you'll hear more from us as the summer rolls on. But until then, I've been Josh.
I've been Skinner.
And we hope that you That's Wishmanese for take it easy. You've been listening to Center of Weirdness. If you like the show, rate and review us wherever you find us, but especially on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to every episode at centerofweird.com, where you can also find all the old Predictocast episodes. And if you want to get in touch with us to tell us about a show we should cover, hit us up on Instagram or Threads at Weirdness Podcast. And as always, thanks for listening. Oh, that was good. Well, I got to go and watch my adopted mom take a shower.